word yoga, ashram?
I have.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
So ashram means a spiritual place,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual home. So I went, looks cool to me. Now remember, I knew nothing from vegetarian or anything. And I went there and it was the coolest people I've ever met in my life. They had a potluck, vegan.
Wow, vegan.
Totally vegan.
Yeah.
It's so funny, we didn't even call it vegan back then.
Yeah, what was it called?
Vegetarian.
Vegetarian, okay.
But there was, it was just super cool. And they did kirtan, which is a form of a dance before you meditate.
Mm-hmm.
And then they meditated. And then they served this potluck. And I went, I think I found my family. And I asked them, I says, can I live here? And remember, I'm only, I just turned 17. And they said, no. He says, there was two couples. He says, we can't, this is a yoga ashram. We have people come here for yoga and meditation and postures, asanas, they're called. Hatha is what's called asana. And I says, okay, well, I'm kind of a pushy guy from the Bronx. So I says, okay, and they had cobblestone floors, pavers, because it was New Mexico. And I says, okay, well, I have my sleeping bag. Can I just sleep on the floor? Where you walk through the front? And they said, you want to sleep on the floor? I says, yeah. So I actually slept on the floor in my sleeping bag for the next 2 months.
Wow. How did your back feel from that?
I loved it, because you know what?
Because it's better to sleep on hard surfaces.
I
right?
was, honey, I was in heaven.
Yeah.
I see it in front of me. We'd get up at 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
We'd take showers. You had to take a cold shower, I remember that. That's part of the yoga thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like a monk in training.
Yeah.
And after 2 months, it's a true story, I was meditating 5 hours a day.
That's amazing.
I meditated an hour when I get up. Now understand, I was with people like that, so it was easy.
Yeah.
I'd sit in the lotus position. I did my stretch. I could stretch backward, forward, upside down, all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I just renounced everything. I gave up my meat, chicken, pig, cow. I gave all that up. And I was just in heaven. I said, I got to tell you something. I'm kind of a physical guy. It was better than sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into a state that I can't really describe it to you because you got to be there.
Yeah.
And everybody has that potentiality in them.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I wanted to become a monk and move to India.
And you're only 17. That's so funny. That's so funny.
So I know this doesn't sound like the Mr. OG Mafio guy, because this is the other side of Gar. And I was committed to this. So I said to my friends, my yogi friend says, I'm leaving. And they said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to hitchhike back to New York. I'm going to get on an airplane at Kennedy Airport, and I'm going to go to India and live in a cave. So I did that. I went hitchhike. This is God's honest truth.
Wow.
It was 8 o'clock at night. It was as black can be of the night, because New Mexico, the back roads. Why I did this at 8:30 at night?
I bet you can see every star.
It's
That's
so
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now get this. I'm out on the road. I swear I see this in front of me right now. Now, why would I do something so silly? At 8:30 at night, you go out throwing your backpack on a strange road that you could be like, whoever, whatever. And I stuck out my thumb, and within like 20 or 25 minutes, a Volkswagen bus stops. and I roll open the door, because it's a roll open door. And I says, hey, can you guys give me a ride? And they say, where are you going? I says, I'm going to New York. And they said, okay, we can take you as far as Kansas City.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That's like 2,000 miles.
Yeah.
I said, what? There was a gal in the back who was also hitchhiking.
Oh my God.
Is this crazy?
Yes.
But this is what I call the universe, when you are running in that. So I got the ride with them. They were very cool guys, to Kansas City, and then to Kansas. And then from there, I don't remember what happened. I think I visited my grandmother. Oh, that's right. I visited my grandmother lived on Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, which is the classiest, most materialistic place in the world.
Wow.
And my Uncle Bob, who I see now every couple
Yes.
of Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
okay, he was like this huge, big businessman. And I surprised her. I knocked on her door, which again, I regretted a little bit. This lady is like an old lady, and I knocked on her. I had my long hair and a beard, so she didn't recognize me. And I says, "Hi, Nanny." I remember, and she says, "Who are you?" And I says, "Gary." Well, at that point I was Gar, but I told her I was Gary.
Yeah.
And she says, "What are you doing?" And I says, "Would you mind if I stayed here for 1 or 2 nights because I'm on my way to India?" Now, I didn't think anything of it because I was in another world. Can you imagine you saying that to your mother just one day, just, "Oh, hi, Mommy, I'm on my way to India. Can I sleep on the floor?"
Yeah, she would be like, "What?" What do you mean?
So I swear to you, I remember this because Uncle Bob is now 90, and I visit him. He lives down in Carlsbad. I'm kind of the only one in his life. And he was this cool guy in his 30s or whatever. And she called him up, and she said, obviously that's her son, and he was devoted to her. And she says, "Bob, little Gary is here, and you're not going to recognize him. And he's got a ponytail and a beard, and he's a vegetarian." So
they thought that was really weird back then.
Totally
right?
weird.
Yeah.
So they thought I was completely. Now you ask him, we'll get him on the show.
Yeah.
He's so cool. He'll say, "We thought you were the weirdest bunny in the world," but they didn't say anything to me. So we went to an Italian restaurant. I remember, I see myself sitting there, and they said, "What do you want to order?" And I remember my grandmother was very kind of like society person, but my uncle, he was super cool, and he says, "Well," he says, I says, "What should I get?" He says, "Get the eggplant parmesan." I says, "Thank you, Uncle Bob, that's great." So I had eggplant parmesan, and it was delicious. Well, anyway, I ended up going to New York, and it's funny how things happen. I was going to Kennedy Airport, and I found out that the guru was in New York City.
Wow.
Now, he's actually not the guru, he's an acharya, which is a dada, or acharya means a teacher or a vehicle for, with the robe, the monk robe and everything. Yeah. And his name was Dada Yatishvarananda. He's still alive. And I said, "That's cool, I'll go visit him." He didn't know me, but I didn't really, I was kind of a rebel kind of kid. I didn't really care what anybody thought of me. I was just going to India, and that's it. So I went to this yoga ashram in New York City that he was at, and he was giving out names. And when I came in there, just this little punk, and he says to me, I can imitate him. He goes, he wore glasses, he had a big nose. He says, "So, what's your name, son?" And I said, "Gar, Dada." And he goes, "Gar? Your name is," I swear I see him right now in front of me. He goes, "Gar? Your name is Gar? Where did you get that name from, son?" And I went, "Well, Dada, last night I had a dream. And I decided to take the Y off of my name and call myself Gar." And he goes, like this. I see him right now. He goes, and he did like a pranam. A pranam is like a bow of respect. And I said, "Dada, I'm kind of embarrassed. Why?" Because as much as I was into this whole meditation, I was completely in outer space, I was still a kid from New York.
Yeah.
So I said, "Why are you?" And he says, "Well, Gar is a Sanskrit name, and it's from 8,000 years ago."
Wow. And you didn't even know that. The dream told you that, yeah.
And so I says, "Oh." So he says, "What does that mean?" He says, Gar means door to the soul.
Wow.
So that's where that all came from. And he said Baba. Now my guru's name is Baba. So that just kind of, and I kind of like decided after all these, and he said something to me, and I'm going to tell you something, and it's a first. I said to him, "I'm on my way to India to see the Sri Anandamurti Ji was the guru of this. It's called Ananda Marga, which means the path of bliss." And he was still alive at that time. And he says, now remember, I'm a kid from New York that I don't listen to anybody. And I don't know this guy. And he says to me, "No, you're not." And I says, "What do you mean I'm not?" He says, "You're not going to India." Now I was ready, I was on my way.
Wow. Did you already buy a ticket or anything?
Yeah, I was all done.
You were going to get there?
Yeah, I was all covered.
Wow.
And he says, I said, "What are you talking about?" I mean, I'm talking to you right now as if you're him. I can see him right now. And he says, that's not what your mission is. He says, Baba has other plans for you.
Wow. Did you believe it?
I followed it.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you've got to go back to college.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to finish college. And you'll probably end up either going to medical school or law school or graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
And I says, really? And he says, and when you, after you do that, you're going to find a woman,
mm-hmm.
and you're going to become what they call, in India, they call a householder.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this. And I go, what's a household? He says, you're going to become a family man, and you're going to have 2 kids. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm becoming a monk. He says, that's not what's written about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, so what do I do now? He says, you go back to New Mexico, you go to college,
mm-hmm.
and after 30 years, you could then have the wisdom to launch your. So this is the truth of the truth. I swear I didn't plan this. I left my wife in November of 2014. I just gotta say it because this is so deep for me. In April of 2015, I would have been married 30 years.
Yeah. So he was pretty much correct, right? Right on time.
And the interesting thing is that on April 5th, 2015 is when they tried to kill me, the police. So that's my story.